They're said to be a miracle minnow in the making. The so-called horny-head chubs are a rare and expensive bait fish that's got fishermen everywhere in a feeding frenzy.
It's a very lively minnow on the hook. It also has a very good visual acuity in that it has a dark stripe down the side. The reason they're called red tail because there is a red hue to the tail.
But there's some big problems looming for this favorite fish. They're disappearing from our streams and rivers at an alarming rate.
A lot of their spawning habitat has been reduced because there's been a lot of siltation and runoff from agricultural lands. And so a lot of areas where there used to be miles and miles of spawning habitat is now shrunk to quite small areas.
Well, right now I can only produce enough to supply 2 different bait dealers. Wild markets or wild harvest doesn't show any numbers any longer to be able to make a decent living off of it.
Fortunately, that may soon be changing. Researchers at NRRI have developed a successful new program to raise the chubs in captivity, ultimately relieving the stress of over-harvesting the natural resource and helping the environment at the same time.
Red tails will stay as a minnow all their lives. They don't grow beyond 10 inches in length, which means they're always part of the food chain.
Researchers here at NRRI say that by mass producing the horny-head chub, not only will it help natural minnow populations recuperate, but it will also help drive the price down for fishermen, a price that currently stands as high as over $7 a dozen.
If there's more product available, the price will probably come down to some extent and make it a little bit more affordable for a greater range of people.
It could be the ideal solution. More minnows in our streams, more business for bait suppliers, and the promise of more bait in anglers' buckets. In Duluth, Craig Zleeman, News 6.
About the money. I'm a little frustrated that there seems to be this push for me to get my experts and have this examination, and yet the state has had this evidence for months and months, and I don't have a report showing me what the results of their own examinations have been.
Obviously everyone's anxious and wants to get things moving along. Of course, I understand where they're coming from. They want to have an expert there when we're conducting the test because it's a one-time shot. So.
Howie, why? Howie, will you tell us why? Howie, why? Howie, will you tell us why?
All of the runners are proud to honor the memory of Kristen Burkholder, but one race participant has a special reason for wearing the bib. Behind the crowded shuffle of feet at the start of the race, 3-year-old Tessa Hurdle can ride along with her parents because of a generous gift. She received a part of Kristen's liver after the 12-year-old was struck by a car on her way to track practice. Kristen's parents say it's inspiring to see Tessa happy and healthy.
This is neat. Exciting. Very, very uplifting. We get so psyched for this race every year, so it's neat that they can be here with us.
Harvey and Jane Hurdle brought Tessa and their other 2 girls from South Dakota for the memorial race.
She was so cooped up so many months, and it's just wonderful to see her to be able to out and run and play.
Now it's hard to catch up with the active toddler.
We have a part of Kristen that lives on in Tessa, and just being here is wonderful. And bringing her back here, sort of bringing her home.
The story of Kristen's wonderful gift of life is just one of the inspiring stories of organ donation here today. And organizers hope that by raising awareness, even more families will be touched. Families like Alan Diane Soxman, whose son was an organ donor.
We didn't have any kind of a choice whether or not Terry was going to live or die. But we've had a choice to be able to help others to be able to live and to experience a good life.
That's what helps families like the Soxmans and the Burkholders deal with the loss of a loved one.
Kristen is our angel. Actually, Tessa's, right? Is Kristen your angel? Yes, she is.
Just knowing that Kristen helped save another person's life it's very meaningful and very touching to us.
As both sets of parents watch Tessa, they remember the miracle that has touched all of their lives.
Dad, I won!
Yeah. You won!
You won, didn't you?
Okay.
In Esco, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
From the outside, the former Good Shepherd Church on Raleigh Street in West Duluth doesn't look much different. But walk up the steps to the old Catholic church, and you'll see quite a transformation.
We've taken the center part of the church and converted it to our specialist area, so we'll have our library and media center, a 2-tiered computer lab overlooking our library with stained glass windows.
Edison School will hold kindergarten through 5th grades at the Raleigh Street School. And changing a church into a school for 200 children is quite a project. Traditional church hymns have been replaced by rock music on construction workers' radios. And the green marble altar lies in pieces on the floor.
All of the religious artifacts have been removed from the former Good Shepherd Church, but if you look closely enough, you can find some subtle hints about the building's history.
In this community, where loved ones have been married and buried, ties to the church live on, no matter how different it looks today.
We have people who attended church here, sending their grandchildren and their children to school here, and it's really fun to be a part of the community, I think.
In West Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
I don't watch TV very often.
We don't believe you.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, bring us some dinner.
That's what he stated his reasons for it.
All this is waiting. With him today?
I have discussed briefly the findings with you. I haven't been up to see it. All I see in the report is possibility. And of course, it's just as strong a possibility that it is not hers. And I want to remind you that this is the same people that are doing this who reported earlier that this absolutely did not come from Katie Poyer.
Imagine future rocket launches into space that start this way, from the underside of a converted airplane. The X-34, designed by Orbital, would jet into space unmanned, returning to Earth and landing like an airplane, capable of making the trip every 2 weeks, with a staff trimmed from 15,000 for the space shuttle to as few as 15. Revolutionary because it's entirely reusable.
Our goals are 10 times less cost and 100 times more efficiency, reliability, and safety.
Two other designs, the X-33 by Lockheed Martin and the X-37 by Boeing, are in line as prototypes of possible successors to the space shuttle, eventually able to carry people and cargo into space. This new generation of spacecraft marks a shift to space missions dominated less by government and more by private industry. As Russia's Mir space station retires from space today, gone is the global race to space of 30 years ago. Now, NASA and its private partners aim to make better use of space, with new spacecraft delivering military and commercial satellites, for example, in less time and for less money, potentially affecting all services from long-distance phone calls to navigation that require satellites.
The cost of all of those types of systems that today use satellites can be driven down if we can drive the cost of launch down.
Giving rise to a new commercial launch industry and blurring the line between spacecraft and aircraft, astronaut and pilot. In Dulles, Virginia, Brooke Hart, NBC News.
We're bringing back the past to remember what it used to be like, how we used to farm, log, whatever.
Push you way back, but things were different in those days, and I really enjoy this. I meet a lot of old friends, and it's a nice day. What else can one do?
Jeremy Burns was an inspirational three-sport athlete playing for the Hermantown Hawks, but his high school sporting season came to an abrupt halt when Jeremy was diagnosed with leukemia. Jeremy came down with pneumonia at the start of football practice in 1997. He was soon diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL. After undergoing chemotherapy, Jeremy missed the football season and most of the hockey season. During his battle, teammates helped give Jeremy strength by wearing his initials on their helmets, hoping that next season Jeremy would be back in action. And he was. His senior year, Jeremy overcame the disease and helped guide the Hawks to the Minnesota State Hockey Tournament. Throughout his battle, Jeremy never gave up. His determination to overcome adversity while excelling in academics was recognized nationally. He received many awards and scholarships, including a $5,000 check from the Horatio Alger Association, an honor that only 100 other students received.
Any other school district, I do believe I never would have made it as far. With all the love and support I got from these people, my friends and everyone, I'd like to say thank you.
In Hermantown, Jody Grayson, News 6.
The Issa came from Poland to load grain at the AGP elevator in Duluth. Now, Polish ships aren't all that uncommon here, but what makes this ship special is the fact that it's one of a fleet of 5 new Polish vessels built with our specific needs in mind.
This ship is built for the Great Lakes. It's narrow enough to get through the seaway. It's just over 77 feet wide, and the maximum width for ships to get through the seaway is 78 feet.
A lot of the older ocean-going ships are too wide to get through the seaway and into the Great Lakes, making our port off limits.
As the years have passed, many of the ships that have served us historically are being retired. So now there's a new generation of ships being constructed just for our system, and that for the future of this port and of the seaway, it's of vital importance that we have the support of companies such as Polish Steamship.
Port Director Davis Helberg made a special point of greeting the captain and the crew of the Issa in an on-board ceremony today.
I am really happy that I am a Polish captain which can perform my work, my service on this vessel in heart of America, now the best friend of Poland.
Poland is not alone in building ships designed to fit the seaway system, but there's still a shortage. Helberg expects that someday the locks will be widened, but probably not within his lifetime. Until that happens, the new Great Lakes-friendly vessels like the Issa and her 4 sister ships are our hope for the future. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
By a motor or something like that, and maybe with sun, could have had some all of a sudden, kabloosh, after about 2 minutes of swimming around like that.
I'm just getting excited because now the fish part's happening. We've been working on the education part, been working on the building, and now it's time for the fish to come in, which is kind of the heart of the place.
Pontoon pulls up on the other side. I yelled to my friends on the pontoon, I'm like, hey, look at this. They come over and then we must have seen it. Kabloosh, and down we go. Oh, we never saw. Was there any other fish coming out? Maybe. Another thing is that when we got caught, it was released.
Right now, there are some happy boaters in Duluth. Those who dock at the Minnesota Slip, where the William A. Irvin sits, now have an easy time getting in and out of their dockage. The slip bridge is locked in the up position until it's fixed, and pedestrians get to take the long way around.
We're in good health, so a little walk doesn't bother us. We come up here a couple times a year and I really love the area.
Bill Simon and his son Brandon are visiting the Northland this week. They plan on taking an excursion cruise on Lake Superior when they finally get to the Vista dock on the other side. Fortunately, most visitors seem to be forgiving. The Vista Fleet manager says the broken bridge is inconvenient, but won't stop determined tourists. Several springs on the bridge need replacing, and Bridge Supervisor Steve DeVille admits the timing for these repairs is a little off.
It's amazing how it's missed if it's not in operation.
With the holiday weekend upon us, hundreds of people will look for a quick way around the waterfront, and Steve says he doesn't want to hinder the Northland's last hurrah of the summer season.
This is the last good weekend, and then everything, a lot of the tourist stuff is gone. It's just like home, quiet.
DeVille says if the repairs aren't finished over the weekend, he may have to put the bridge back down part of the time to accommodate traffic, all in the name of keeping Duluth an easy place to get around. In Duluth, Jason Rice, News 6.
United Kidway.
I'll have the 20 ticket sheet.
There you go. Step on. You want to sit in the middle?
I want to go in there. We're sitting right now.
All right, will you sit on that side, please?
Hang on, we're hopping. Ready? Hop, bunnies. Push your buttons.
Here?
No!
Woo! Oh, big slide.
They are stuck.
They needed help. They were stuck around the edge.
Listen to the music. All right. All right.
It's a beautiful day to go sailing.
Do you want to tell her it's the last ride? It's okay. Want to go again? Can you stand up? That was fun.
You don't want to get off, do you?
We're going to head home before we hit total meltdown.
Enjoy the fair.
Amid the VFW and the many politicians, the Teamsters Union.
What do we want? Oh! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Oh! Now! Oh! Now! Oh! Now!
The Teamsters Union is trying to unionize nearly 500 workers at the USG plant in Cloquet. The company makes ceiling tile at the old Conwed site.
You want a wild cherry Pepsi?
After the parade, a picnic for USG employees. People like Mike Linetto, who's worked at USG for 7.5 years and is pro-union.
My family comes first when it comes between family and work, and USG's policies seem to be, you got to be there for the company, and it's a lot of schedule changing.
Linetto is one of many USG workers hoping for a vote soon. The former Conwed plant was bought by USG in the early 80s. Labor leaders say union workers were fired or quit, then rehired back as non-union when USG started up.
I think at that time the workers were still scared because some of them had just got their job back and just a lot of them were new and they were scared to even talk about unions. Now they're tired. They're fed up with the way they're being treated, and now they're talking union, and the Teamsters came in and talked to them, and they're ready to vote, and they're ready to vote yes.
A vote could take place as early as October. In Cloquet, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
And in fact, my advice to Mr. Blum was not to make this agreement. I don't believe the agreement that's proposed is in his best interest. I advised him not to do that. Mr. Blum indicated to me that he was going to go ahead with this agreement despite my advice to him. I did not know anything about that. I did not authorize that. The place quickly or not, I am not going to make any prediction. Right, if that's the deal, I think that's pretty minimal stuff. Yeah. I'm going to have you, I don't know. This is a little ridiculous, something this important.
course, you still have to give them the rest of the information, and it has to be presented fairly and impartially, and a confession certainly helps.
I hope that it will come to the forefront how this disease has taken lots of lives, the patients, the family members.
Last year, Betty Petrovic was among 250 walkers who participated in Memory Walk 98. She walked in honor of her mother, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Altogether, they raised $20,000 to find a cure for the disease.
What kind of vegetable would you like tonight? We got peas and we have corn.
Alzheimer's disease is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain and the most common form of dementia. There's no cure or prevention. Alzheimer's disease is always fatal.
Alzheimer's disease has been thought of as it's a disease of old people. It's a disease that everybody gets when they're old. It's not that big a deal. In fact, it's a terrible, devastating illness that affects people in their 40s, people in their 50s and 60s, and right now we're on the verge of a major healthcare crisis.
NBC's David Hyde Pierce and Shelley Fabre are the honorary chairpersons for this year's Memory Walk fundraising event. 400 communities will participate, including Duluth. Over the past 10 years, nearly $43 million has been raised to support Alzheimer's families.
You know, the motto of the association is someone to stand by you. And that is what we do. We certainly stand by the victims of Alzheimer's, but also by the caregivers who have the tremendous psychological, emotional, spiritual, physical burden of caring for their loved ones with Alzheimer's. So we try very hard to be there for them and provide the emotional and physical and spiritual support that they need. And this is to let people know that we're here and they're not alone.
It's a devastating disease. My mother was a vibrant person who loved to travel and that stuff, and it just tore her apart.
You gotta get the back too. Let's go back with Uncle Dave.
Business burglars continue to plague the Northland. Between midnight and 5 a.m. Friday, September 5th, 1999, 3 separate businesses were broken into in the Miller Hill business area. The crooks broke into Godfather's Pizza. Once inside the pizza shop, they pried open several arcade machines to steal the coins inside. The thieves also broke into Fred's Motors and stole tools. The burglars then went in a window at Wendy's. They used the tools from the other burglary to haul out the restaurant's safe and load it in their car. Crime Stoppers would like help identifying who the burglars are. If you know who they are, call us. You could get a cash reward and remain anonymous. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
College is back in session. Students are buying books and preparing study schedules. Most will work very hard. They know they're making a substantial commitment in time and money.
I want to know that when I go out to the workplace, I have, the proper knowledge and things to take with me that I will be able to use out there.
I think that if you have graduated from college and that's on your resume, that you're probably going to have more of a chance of getting the job that you want.
The degrees these students earn will help them get good jobs and achieve status. In most cases, the higher the degree, the better job they'll get and the more respect they'll earn.
It provided a lot of training that you need for doing research in my field, and also it's kind of the ticket to getting an academic position.
But what if you could just buy a degree, any degree, without putting in the time, effort, or hard work? It's possible, and it's easy. I recently got a random email from a company based in England.
It promised me a university diploma requiring no tests, classes, books, or interviews. It said no one will be turned down, and they assured confidentiality. They said this degree would help me obtain a prosperous future, money-earning power, and the admiration of all. I decided to check it out.
I've given degrees to president of major banks, and who didn't have a bachelor's.
Really?
Yes.
And no one ever questions this?
No.
For under $1,000, I could buy a doctorate in communications or any degree I wanted other than in the medical field. Spokesman Ted Wilson said it would take just 10 days to get my PhD, plus a transcript like this of my bogus classes and grades. All A's if I want.
After you receive the diploma, we ask you to send in whatever contents of a transcript you specify.
So whatever classes that I feel I want on the degree.
Yes, that's right.
This sample transcript they sent looks very real. The person in the sample achieved a Master's of Business Administration, buying himself a 3.80 grade point average with classes in things like accounting, management, and legal business associations, all without ever picking up a book. And he also bought himself backup from the University of Palmer's Green in case potential employers want to check up on him.
Someone who requests verification of your diploma and requests transcripts as backup, which you can suggest that they do, because then they receive certified copies of transcripts.
Administration officials at the University of Minnesota Duluth say these kinds of degrees are often tough to differentiate from the real thing. That's why it's important to meet a job applicant in person.
I think an interview to actually know what the person can do is much more important than any piece of paper would say that they could do. So you need to investigate the actual quality of the applicant.
UMD's Vice Chancellor for Academic Administration says prospective employers can also check to see if the college or institution is accredited. But he did admit accreditation can also be bought.
I think it's certainly possible that in a rare instance, a business or a university could be fooled.
He said one thing that can help is for prospective employers to check with an applicant's references.
But experts stress probably the most important thing you can do is meet with your prospective employee and try to get to know them personally. At UMD, Barbara Riles, News 6.
Investigators say Luke Love was trying to calm down his friend, Carl Hartshorn, at Hartshorn's horse ranch in rural Douglas County when Hartshorn allegedly shot him late Monday night.
I think he's just trying to get him to settle down. You know, he's been kind of goofy and drinking and carrying on. I just think he went over there to talk to him to try to get him to calm down and say, oh, hey, things are going to be okay, just settle down.
The shot to the chest with a 12-gauge shotgun killed Luke Love. 18-year-old John Sanders, who dates a family member of Hartshorn's, was shot in the thigh while trying to flee. He notified neighbors who called 911. Several hours later, the Douglas County Special Response Team arrested Hartshorn.
He was not allowed to resist.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, we tackled him, type of thing. You know, he was walking. We waited, and you know, our people were there until he could get a far enough distance from the house so that they could rush him and tackle him.
Carl Hartshorn was no stranger to law enforcement. A protective order was issued for his wife, and weapons had been seized from this home before. Where he got the 12-gauge shotgun allegedly used in the killing remains a mystery. In fact, officers had been at this house September 9th on a domestic call. Hartshorn's teen children were inside the home during the shootings, but apparently did not witness them. His wife was not at home at the time. Authorities say they're not certain of a motive, but his domestic situation, combined with alcohol, may have pushed Hartshorn over the edge.
It appears what we have here is a man who's just so angry, and he's just not going to let anybody tell him what to do or what not to do. He's just going to do what he feels he has to, he can.
Hartshorn is expected to be charged with first-degree murder. In Douglas County, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
If your mercury thermometer looks like this, you can almost be assured that it's a mercury thermometer. Thin, constant diameter with a silvery metal bulb on the end.
From our environment, we're currently educating our 1,600 employees about the effects of...
For those of you that aren't aware, SMDC is the name for St. Mary's Duluth Clinic now that we're merged. So we have established successful waste minimization programs, particularly with the help of Jamie Harvey. Not only recycling, biohazard reduction, but also
but I guess that we're really not a bit surprised that it happened. It's a very tragic thing that happened up there.
Around Moose Lake and stuff, be honest, I hate his guts. And I've talked to a lot of guys and they said Moose Lake will never be the same again.
You won't find Aaron Lassie in a street fight, but he does spend hours practicing punches and kicks, preparing for a battle.
I don't like fighting.
Okay.
But the sport of karate is what probably interested me in kickboxing.
Kickboxing combines the art of karate and boxing, a sport Aaron spent the last 3 years learning. His father's been training him in karate since Aaron was 8. He says the sport provides valuable lessons outside of the fighting circle.
Discipline, hard work, self-accomplishment, and the understanding that you're working at something that's it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. It really does.
Bill Lassie is a former kickboxing pro and has passed on his 20-plus years of experience to his son.
He's been my instructor the whole way, so a lot of influence mentally, physically, just pumping me up.
Aaron's learned the right boxing jabs, hooks, uppercuts, and kicks, the skills that made him a major contender at the International Kickboxing Federation tournament in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
I had to put it all on the line, and I knew he was going to do the same. So I just went out and did what I had been training to do. I just fought hard and fast and moved a lot.
Fast moves and smart fighting earned Aaron the international title. He's now the #1 ranked light middleweight amateur fighter in the country.
He's outstanding. His physical talents are great. He has a great work ethic. And all I really need to do is point him in the right direction and not let him sit down when he wants to sit down.
Danielle Prenebo, News 6.
Now everybody in the room, this is a little quiz. Okay, I'm glad you simply join with us in supporting our student athletes. It's to give our student athlete campaign, you know, their
Now it's obviously we're here today for various balls and finds himself 3-4 rolls up in the view, but yeah, good luck.
That is one that we really can't control, and that's where we have for you to take that to the day at the end.
Someday these little tykes might be competing in the inline marathon, but for now they're zipping by in the kids' races and getting folks excited about skating.
The excitement.
More than 100 kids took part in the skating sprints, double the turnout for last year's race. It's a trend that carries over to tomorrow's race too. And with a record number of skaters, it's a boost for area businesses.
Fixing skates, selling skates, upgrading skates. It's been a real busy 2 weeks.
As inline skaters check out the newest equipment and pile their plates full of energy-giving spaghetti.
And look at here, bread and salad also. You gotta love it, you gotta love it.
They're getting ready for the big race.
Yes, it's my first time and it won't be the last time here.
Joe Colston came all the way from Arizona for his first race.
I talked all over many other states I contact with about the Duluth, and they're very familiar with the marathon here for the rollerblades and that.
Word about the marathon is spreading.
Well, I'd heard about this and I wanted to try it, so thought I'd give it a try.
Making it more popular than ever this year. First-time racers say they're getting involved because it's just a great sport that everyone, even the youngest skaters, can enjoy.
High five! All right! Good job!
In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6. A chance to say goodbye. Katie Poyer's loved ones and the extended community family she gained over the last 3 months came together not only to remember a tragedy, but to celebrate a life.
I know that Katie's family and friends want to remember her not merely as a victim, but to remember Katie for her love of others and her love of life.
The tears couldn't be held back, and friends and family members held each other a little tighter as they remember the bright young woman now lost to them.
And she was a beautiful person because she was real and because she was unique.
Katie loved life and her friends. She was extremely family-oriented. She enjoyed her dogs Goldie and Riley, water skiing, fishing, Days of Our Life, and the Green Bay Packers.
The service was also a chance to say thank you to search volunteers, police, and Katie's family for sharing with the community their happy, vivacious daughter. But Katie's uplifting spirit couldn't ease their aching grief as Katie's mother, father, and brother released symbolic balloons into the sky and said a final farewell.
phones for you sometimes.
Yeah. With Bob Keener, so we had to. He walked out of there. He had agreed to plead guilty, but there was no timeline that was set out. In other words, it wasn't in the agreement that he had to plead on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was in with if there were a plea of guilty to that would mean an automatic sentence of life without parole. At that point, I guess there wouldn't be a whole lot of reason to dispute the charges any further. That would, I suppose, make a plea somewhat more likely.
Beaner's Central Coffee Shop has been open since late July, and already sales are better than expected. The coffee shop's owners say there are several reasons why they chose West Duluth for their business.
For one, because there's no coffee shops around us, besides downtown would be the closest, and there's nothing much for entertainment out here, especially all-age entertainment. It's just a big bar area.
All along Central Avenue, businesses are moving in and taking over once vacant storefronts. Stores like Creations Unlimited open in the old West Duluth Theater.
A lot of the places right in this area have been redone. The little coffee shop across the street has been refurbished inside and out. This here, the West Duluth Theater, refurbished inside, but kept in the same, none of the walls have been changed at all. The ceiling up top is still original. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work.
The more businesses that locate here, the more property tax dollars collected, and that means more money going for redevelopment. Money will come from tax increment financing. When businesses like Beaner's open up, property values increase and so do property taxes, creating more TIF funds. Kathy Ganucci-Riesberg owns a Central Avenue business and recruited Beaner's Coffee Shop to the area. She says the change just along Central Avenue is astounding to customers, as West Duluth slowly sheds its industry-only image.
And now I think what they're seeing is that we can handle both, and we do it very well. It doesn't mean that other areas in Duluth can't do the same thing. It's just a matter of using your imagination and pulling something out there.
In West Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
The widespread damage left by Hurricane Floyd is hard to imagine here in the Northland.
It's just overwhelming. I just feel so sorry for those people. I just can't believe it.
I'm sure there's widespread devastation, flooded homes, roads closed, schools are closed, I'm sure.
Ron and Michael Ann Mortallone wanted to do more than just look at the devastated areas. The retired Iron Range couple decided to help and go to North Carolina with the Red Cross.
This is the most we've had in a couple of years as far as volunteers going out for one disaster assignment, so this is very exciting.
The couple spent time before heading out in a final training session. From watching an instructional video
Now it's time to put your skills into action.
to some last-minute advice.
Just have a little patience, you'll be all right.
The Mortallonis got a chance to see what the work would be like in the video. They'll be helping in shelters, giving out food and supplies, as well as emotional support. But they say they're ready for long hours and tiring work.
It's going to be a lot of trying circumstances. People are going to be upset they're without their homes, or perhaps separated from their friends and relatives or their animal because they don't have animals in the shelter. So it's going to be trying for a lot of people, but I hope we can bring them a little TLC, a little humor.
They say they simply like to help those in need.
My wife and I both have been in the helping professions all our lives, so apparently we're both teachers. So I guess that's been a lifetime goal of ours, to try to make differences in people's lives, and this is just the way of doing it now that we're retired.
After 3 weeks in the flood-ravaged areas, they're sure to touch others with a little Northland kindness. In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
What? Oh, hi! I always like that. Should we just dump this out? Yeah. It's like halfway full. Yeah, and there's a cigarette butt right there. Butt? Too big. Okay, I'll get it. Okay. A cigarette! Oh my gosh, what should we do with it? Cigarette. Gum wrapper! 2 cigarettes, okay? And a gum wrapper! Yeah, it was stuck in a rock. Here, where should we put them? It's like, I found a piece of plastic under. Amy, do you know?
That would be one.
Oh, cool. I found
Right in there.
Where did Alyssa go?
You add on your 3 pieces of...
Move over here. Step on this one. Some glass. I found half of the glass plate. Oh, man. You better go up into the tree.
The hearing was especially difficult for Katie's family and friends. They saw the man who confessed to killing Katie for the first time in person.
How a little runt like that could cause so much problem. That's why I look at him. He's not a man, somebody that can do that.
Those close to the Poyers say they don't understand why Blum hasn't taken the deal.
It's just it's unbelievable. I can't believe, I guess I don't understand how this can be happening, why it's going on and on.
Well, from his standpoint, I think it would be a good deal because he's going to get eventually nailed. The gun charge is going to put him in prison at least 15 years, 15 to life. So I don't know what else he's looking for.
What is he looking for? The lawyers in this case have been ordered not to say anything, and now Blum's defense lawyer in the federal gun charges case has been added to that gag order as well.
I am under a federal gag order by the United States District Court. I do not want to make any further comment.
With all the parties in the Donald Blum case under gag orders not to talk, one thing is clear. Efforts to patch up a deal in recent days where Donald Blum would plead guilty fell through, and the case is apparently headed to trial. Blum, through his attorney, said today he wasn't prepared to enter a plea.
Presently it will be set for trial.
And so there's no deal here?
There was no deal today.
In an effort to move the case forward, prosecutor Tom Pertler, seen going to court today, gave Blum's lawyers a list of potential witnesses in an upcoming state trial on kidnapping and murder charges. But with Judge Dale Wolf considering a request to toss out Blum's confession, since the deal didn't go through, it's possible the state may have to try and prove murder on circumstantial evidence. So far, those bone fragments found on Blum's property have not been positively identified as those of Katie Poyers. DNA tests are still underway, and there's a chance the few remains found may not provide sufficient DNA to make a positive link. With no deal and no plea, the victim's family, including brother Patrick Poyer, are frustrated.
It's just a game to him. He
he could care less. I mean, he doesn't care about the family. Hell, he doesn't even care about his own family.
The state law says you'll go to prison for life. I wish we had capital punishment.
Katie Poyer's grandfather expects even if Blum's confession is tossed out, he'll still be convicted of his granddaughter's murder. And as for his reaction seeing the murder suspect face to face for the first time today?
How a little runt like that could cause so much problem. That's why I look at him. He's not a man. Somebody that can do that. I'd like to be able to represent our family and talk to him.
And what would you tell him?
Nothing. I'd beat the hell out of him. There'd be no monkeying around.
Citizens Coalition, who have unselfishly dedicated our environment and protected and
Kids have got a living, learning landscape right in front of their school, and they can walk out of the classroom and they can learn about the native plants, they can learn about the geology of the state of Minnesota right here in front of them.
Seven to nothing, the Vikings are ahead.
What to get worried is when the time clock is done, because we'll be winning.
There you go. Nowhere. 5 yards.
From Brett Farms. Thank God we just got that interception.
Packers are not doing good. We are.
10-10.
We need to go deep to Moss, and then we're set.
Let's go Brian, baby! Chris Dolman's in the house. We need Chris Dolman in on every single play. We gotta get the ball to Horde.
Hi. Mark Mallon. I'm going to go What he did was he broke the mold of politics at a time when a lot of people seem to be interested in having it broken. And what I've always been, as a journalist, impressed with the governor is his ability to be pretty candid with not only the people of Minnesota but also with other reporters.
Well, I separate church and state, and I will always be honest, and I think that's my problem. See, the career politician won't be honest. When the career politician gets asked a question, they'll give the answer they're supposed to. They'll give the answer that's politically correct. They'll give the answer that, that you need to give to get reelected. That's not me. I will be honest, and if so doing, if my honesty causes me problems, it's the only thing I can be, and it's the only thing I've ever been.
The dogs here this weekend are from every size, shape, description. There are 188 dog handler teams that are here to compete for the title of the best dog in North America on dog agility.
Over here! Over!
Dog agility is an obstacle courses where the dogs are timed while they perform obstacles. While performing them, they could accrue faults. The dog actually that runs the cleanest run with the fastest time receives the honor of being the best dog in North America. And that's what they're here to try to prove this weekend.
Over.
It is fun. It really is fun. There's nothing else really that you can do with a dog that the two of you have to be a team together.
Get out.
You've got to be willing to work with each other, listen to each other.
Shoot, get in.
You can't force the dog to do this. They have to want to do it.
Over.
So there's a lot of motivation, positive, happy things going on between the dog and the owner. It's really fun because it is teamwork and there's a real bond that happens between the people. It's something that people come, they watch, and they see that they can do it too, because it's not a specific breed of dog.
Let's go, 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 go.
So the average pet owner can come, take lessons, learn how to do it, and it's a lot of fun.
Hey, Wisp, you going?
Over. Here. Over.
Go. Get in.
Hold. Yeah, Mama. Over. Get out.
Shoot, get in.
Over.